Good afternoon, everybody. It's good to thank you for taking time to be here. I was going to start off with the Father Stang had an interesting comment in our opening liturgy. When I walked in the front of church that day, of chapel, he said, "I'm going to announce the greatest invention of humankind today during my homily." Well, that piqued my interest, because it's hard to pick the greatest invention. And of course, if you were there during his homily, he announced that the university itself, a university, is the greatest invention of humankind. Particularly a university like ours, where all questions, even the ultimate question of life, like who created and what's our purpose and will and calling, and how does all this information, knowledge, and what we do fit in to reality? And so I was thinking about what a privilege it is to be working day to day in a project that you could justly claim the greatest invention of humankind, a university, a particular university with the largest questions of life on the table. Not even this life, but our next life. Like where we come from, where we're going. So that's pretty good compared to what a lot of people live with in life, slavery and other things. And the other thing that's beautiful about that, in our leadership and commitment to leadership, whether different aspects of educating leader, whether it's their intellect and inquisitiveness and how to make things better, or whether it's in their skills and how they work with people at a particular professional skill, or whether it's in how we promote and develop trustworthiness or good health, all that comes together in leaders. And when leaders leave and educate people and heal people and build enterprises and figure out how to serve people better, our project isn't about us. We have a larger calling. And it's not supposed to be easy. Not at all. Not big things. Big things that are harder that you're called to do are beyond yourself. So a university that says, we're going to put people out in the world that advance human flourishing because they're really good leaders, is a big project. Father Stang might be right. It might be the greatest invention ever of all human history. And we get to be involved in it and actually solve some of those terrible problems. The State of the University address is a good chance to remind ourselves where we're at on the why of Marian, the what we're doing now, and how. And today I just want to reaffirm, I think our why, in terms of I've served here as president, starting my 17th year with a lot of really good people, and Dr. King and the other vice presidents, etc. The why and the board we have, etc., gets more and more clear all the time, and there's deeper meaning to it. The what we're focused on, I'm going to remind us today, but I want to talk some about how we're going to get there, because the next steps aren't going to be easy. Sister Claire Whalen, who did her dissertation on Catholic higher ed with a lot of emphasis on how Marian developed historically, pretty amazing, and she was saying that we don't give enough attention to researching Sister Mary John Broderick, who was the Dr. King of the day. Matter of fact, I think it was Dr. King on steroids, because I think, no offense, none taken, okay. Because, you know, when Mother Clarissa Dilhoff said, let's move the college to Indianapolis from Oldenburg, it appears to me she kind of said, let's do this, and then she called Sister Mary John her off, say, hey, you're going to go move the college down there to Indianapolis. Why don't you put that together? Because she recruited the faculty and started to envision the why Marian and do the recruitment brochures. But I thought her, one of the quotes I pulled out, so I started reading some of her material. She's pretty smart, by the way. She had a PhD in educational philosophy. The college-trained mind evaluates each experience on its own intrinsic merit and knows, too, how to coordinate its experiences with the whole of life and eternity. Thought that was interesting. It dips below the surface of isolated incidents to discover universal laws. I'm sure she's talking about patterns and certain beliefs, understanding. And then she talks about the mind this way, an educated mind. It prudently reserves judgment until it has weighed facts in the light of truth. That's a pretty good kind of why of a university. She wrote some, by the way, we often think we've developed our vision, etc. This was in her promotional materials, which I liked. If you're planning to continue your education, she's inviting people to consider coming to Marian College. She said, today, the question of education cannot be dismissed with the possession of a degree. More than knowledge of subject matter is the vital concern. Culture, leadership. She was promoting Marian as a place where we educate leaders, and character far surpass mere knowledge. More emphatically than ever before, the call rings out for leaders. So we've got our new vision statement we developed 3 years ago, and we should have probably just gone and visited Sister Mary John's promotional material, and we would have had it. Not too, well, really in August, a big study was put out by this group here. I wanted to use this red dot. You can't see it probably, but I wanted to use it. The Financial Resilience of Independent College Universities, the Council of Independent Colleges, well-funded study by experts. So, since the Great Recession, there was a study done of private universities. And they put universities in 3 categories. Ones that had fallen behind financially, ones that were about the same financially, and ones that have grown financially, that become better. Now, typically, matter of fact, I've even said this on this stage. It turns out I wasn't 100% right. Matter of fact, I was quite a bit wrong. This study, at least the last 7-8 years, this study would say that the attributes of the institution did not guarantee financial success in the world in which we live. What are those attributes? I've always said the bigger universities, the better endowed universities, the universities with higher net tuition income are always going to get better. The universities in big cities are always going to get better. So I lined out all these attributes, and this study, to their shock really, I read it thoroughly a couple times, shared it with some of my colleagues, that didn't guarantee success the last 8-9 years. You know what they did find though? It was more about what you did as a university than the attributes you took into the recession. Was there a bias for action? If you over-aim and talk, you will not be successful. The world looks like the world passes you by. If you talk until it's perfect, the world will pass you. The bias for action will help you be very successful in this endeavor, the most important enterprise of human history. Drive to connect locally, regionally, and beyond. Think a little bit about that. Just look around us. How did we get that land north of us? We connected with the school and IPS and started talking about what we could do together. How did we get the Cycloplex and host the national championship so beautifully? And I don't know if Dean's here, but Deb and Steve and everybody, that was really another nice event. How did all that come to be? Now we used to have 9, 10 cycling students. Now we probably 59, something like 75, excuse me. That was last year's news. That's this year's news. But we've really taken that, and the park is lively with families and a lot of events, and Marion has signage from the highway. We partner. Every time we partner, we seem to do well. I think we've done well with that, obviously. Number 3, I'm going to talk a lot about today when we talk about not so much why we exist and what we're going to do, but how we're going to get there. Realistic self-assessment and adaptation. If you realistically assess where you're at with a program and your outcomes, I mean, feelings are good, But in our outcomes, how we measure, we will get better. And the institutions that do that on a consistent basis are making great progress in their. You know, and I look at this, I put mission and financial success. You cannot have success in your mission if you're not financially healthy, vice versa. So they're really, in some sense, they're one and the same. Structure for innovation, change. We have made a lot of changes, and I'll show you some charts on that. Assertive leadership within a shared governance. So it isn't just one man, woman, or band type of thing, but you move. Again, that's kind of a little bit connected with, somewhat connected with the bias for action. And alignment of mission and innovation. So if we said it was innovative and bold of us to create a medical school, we connected it very well, I thought, to our mission, healing. Christ was a healer. Being a faith-based institution based in the Christian tradition, healing made a lot of sense for us. We had it in our mission with the nursing school. We had already been down that road. We just expanded it so it was connected. So if we want to be in a place where we have the resources to make more dramatic advancements in educating leaders who got and advance human flourishing, reduce problems in the world, expand opportunities in the world, you have to have a strong resource base. That means you have to have a bias for action. You have to connect with partners, and we're going to talk more about that. We have to really measure what we're doing. Being kind of fuzzy about what we're accomplishing is very dangerous. Matter of fact, it's institutional suicide. I think it's institutional suicide. And a lot of people woke up from the Great Recession in great financial health, and now they're wondering how they're going to make it, and they're falling backwards. They're cutting, you know what the institutions, they looked at that column that are staying the same, are falling backwards. What do? They cut pay. They don't do pay increases. They cut staff. They cut programs. They cut. Because you got to make it work if you don't expand your revenue pie. Be assertive in our leadership and align our mission to innovation. That's our forward looking. We're in a very good situation. We I put the board up there just as one group, but we have many groups of good leaders on campus. In the academic program, staffing, the folks I work with more often than not are the vice presidents and this board. Everybody's very mission focused. They know why we're here, working very hard, extremely generous. We also have, we put a map up there just to kind of indicate. I don't mean to say our plan is facilities. It's just part of it. But we have a good bead on, hey, here's the path forward. We're going to do this and this and this and this and this, and we're going to move on it. And we're going to invest in it. And we're going to organize behind it. And we're going to drive on it. Okay, so we know the why. We have good people in place. And we kind of know what we want to do. It's kind of interesting, that little map up there. All that colored stuff is new buildings or places where we're renovating or going to do stuff. It's pretty exciting. We're doing about $40 million of facilities right now while we speak. That's a lot of building on top of everything else we've been doing. So this place will look a lot different, in 18. Some of it will open here in the next few months. We did a great review, and I don't know how much to go through all this because you certainly always forget different things we do, but of course we have to Dr. Sefcik and the comm faculty and staff. It was a historic year last year. We graduated, all of our 99.5% of our graduates from the comm got a residency. A lot of them here in Indiana and contiguous states, but as far as Boston and California. So we have graduates out there all over the place. That was a major accomplishment. Now we're fully accredited, and I know you're going to miss them, but the accreditors don't come back till 2024. But maybe we'll just, we'll just have to make each other happy without them. So anyway. But our Doctor of Nurse Practice is approved, and we have our first students in, so we have more doctoral students on campus. in really key areas where there's a big need in anesthesiology and family practice. Our graduate programs are now 9 of them, well over 1,000 students. One of the things that we'll have to do is our mindset of who and what Marion is compared to who we are really in reality is going to have to catch up sometimes, especially some of us have been around a while. The accelerated nursing programs are moving forward. We're looking at more places. Of course, we have a big site in Nashville, a big site in northern part of Indianapolis with St. Vincent's. Formation of the College of Arts and Sciences, we've been wanting to do that. And we have a dean and Dr. Marola. Formation of the College of Online and Graduate Programs, or is it graduate programs and online? Graduate and online, we should probably say graduate first, okay. We've centralized our enrollment operation. You know, we used to have an enrollment operation that went out and really worked hard to get 300 to 400 freshmen. Well, we're recruiting medical students now and graduate students and doctoral and biomedical science masters. We have 60-some biomedical science masters. We need a total admissions process, and we're moving to that. Repurposed MAP staff into enrollment and marketing areas. Our retention project continues to make great progress. New majors are being conceived, and others are looking at deletion or changing, and our athletic program is never one. We have that, I mentioned that at the opening. We now have the Commissioner's Cup. We're the best athletic program in our conference, and if they counted football, we'd even be better. So that's good. Campus ministry is doing wonderful things. Big, you know, and I like Adam for a lot of reasons. One is he measures things. You know, 36% increase in participation in campus ministry, the retreat program, etc., the last couple of years. Mission identity statement on what it is to be a Catholic university, I think, made us more clear of why we exist. Very good. San Damiano scholars continue to be a remarkable influence on campus. And it's not, you know, I believe I'm right. I'm going to Boston here at the end of October. I think we have 7 or 8, probably 8 graduate students at Boston College, one of the greatest universities in the world, and there's Marion, very well represented. I'm going to meet with them. And we also have a resident, doing a grad at the COM out there doing a residency. I think it's a medical center connected with Harvard, but I'm not sure of that, but I know they're doing their residency in Boston. The service hours, you know something we did quietly this summer, but y'all ought to look at the model, is Missionary Disciples Institute. Bringing high school students on campus, I don't care if you're an academic program, athletic program, connect them with faculty, staff, they meet the people, they see the grounds, they see the beauty, and we're going to get a lot of those students, and they're special students. They're people that want to do things in the summer to advance their leadership skills, whether you're in math or whatever you're in here, theater. What can we do to bring people in high school here on campus and get them interested? The Physicians Formation Program that we started, Mr. Shelton and others. We spent some time on our Franciscan values. We had a Franciscan curriculum renewal, many faculty participated in. Hispanic Advisory Board. Last year, Peace and Justice, of course, reconciliation this year. We continue to work on the graduate ritual. I mentioned retention. Just a little fact that's kind of interesting. Our graduate students and COM students make up a third. If you take all the students we served last year, it was right around 4,000. I think there's even some more. I mean, you know, the enrollment, some people are in and out, etc. So it's probably even higher than this. But of the 4,000 that were in an academic program, a third of them were either in COM or a graduate program. That's a little fact that might throw you off. You think of Marion University as an undergraduate institution. Resources, we designed all of our buildings and they're under construction. The business school, of course, is well on its way. The project over dining hall and throughout the physical fitness will take up into 18. We have the Cold Spring School property. We acquired the 30th Street Church. All the land and buildings we acquired didn't take any money out of pocket other than legal fees and that kind of stuff. So that's always good. We've done some things in the field and athletics. You probably wouldn't agree, but it's true. We did increase our parking capacity by 10%. It should have been 25%, I know. We had a $10 million, we renewed our line of credit for $10 million. The only reason I mention that, banks won't let you borrow money if they think you're a shaky proposition. We didn't use it, but we did have it, so that was good. We've done some nice collaborations with St. Vincent's community, of course our friends at St. Joe and all that. We like that. We self-insured. I don't know if you noticed, our insurance policy is really pretty good, health insurance, and it's at a fairly decent price. One thing we did this year to continue that is it's self-insured, so keep one another healthy. Now, if you just have bad luck and get one of those terribles, that's the idea of insurance. We all throw our money in the pot and take out what we need. It's a good socialistic kind of, contribute what you can, take only what you need kind of a concept. But now we own a part of that insurance, so stay healthy, will you please? We're depending on you. The escrow fund, we had to start the COM, now has been reverted back to the institution, so that's driving up our endowment, made it very nice. Last year we increased our net assets to the university by $17.7 million. We've never had anything like that, so that helps our balance sheet, drives down borrowing costs, makes us a stronger institution. Our liquidity ratio, because we have bonds out against the med school and other things, we beat that by 13%, and we kind of doubled our debt service ratio. So the things guys like me worry about and our CFO all the time, we did really well at. We secured almost just $19.8 million of gifts and new investments in the university. That's another remarkable year in a row that we've done that. We've quietly raised about close to $75 million now towards a big announcement we'll make in November about a big effort to fund our new big 2025 plan here. And so that's moving. The gala's moving well. We got some people to come by for some awards like Peyton Manning and a few others. Just little guys. So anyway, we've made a lot of progress. I would say in some ways the biggest progress we've made is the momentum. Momentum is very powerful, and we have it. There's a little bit of a flywheel kick-in effect, and the culture of success and believing we can do. I had a prominent, Cat Cleary was in the meeting, I had a prominent leader in town today. We were asking him for some more money, and I think we're going to get it. But when I had Dr. Sefcik in the room, and he looked at me and he said, I never said this to you, but there were a lot of people in the city that didn't think Marion could pull off this medical school. What did he say? That maybe we were maybe laughing at us or something, or kind of concerned for us. So he said, but I think we get that confidence when you win more. I mean, it feeds off itself. Our athletic program is probably a good example of that. You got to have momentum. And the people perceive Marion as winners. And we're not winning for ourselves. We're winning for our students and the larger common good, right? I mean, we're not winning, We want to build a great Catholic university, a great American city, not so we can be great. What do we want? We want great things for our students, and we want them to do great things in the world. So it's an other-centered greatness we're after. But we have definite momentum, and we have a culture of success, and I just say keep going. What we want to concentrate a little bit on today, we've got to grow our undergraduate enrollment. And I'm not at all going to come across as critical here, but I'm going to be honest. When we look at our WIG, our wildly important goal, you know why we have a WIG, is because people want more graduates. The city's growing. Central Indiana's growing. We're attracting wonderful companies. They're putting together a proposal to hopefully bring Amazon here. Well, we're at the table. How are we going to expand the talent pool? There's a lot of work to do in the world. We need better teachers. We need more physicians. We need healthcare workers. We need scientists. We need these people from all socioeconomic backgrounds. Very important to our economy. Just the utility of it, you have to have it. But also in terms of our mission. If you want justice and peace and good stewardship, we can't leave talented people on the sideline. We've got to bring them into the main and give them an opportunity, huh? And we need to change the world through education, so we cannot continue to be where we're at in our undergraduate enrollment, and it's going to take new approaches. Frankly, a lot of our energy and resource, etc., have been so wrapped up in some of our big developments that you could have almost predicted that maybe we would have had to refocus on this. But our undergraduate enrollment is not where it needs to be, and we're going to have to come together. And you know that little thing about successful institutions? They are good at self-assessment. They don't kid themselves. It's particularly important because once you step out on this diving board, I don't know, my metaphor, usually good teachers have metaphors, etc., but right now I didn't like that diving board because that's going down. But okay. Once you set out on a big-time journey, take enough supplies, okay, to get over the mountain. If you've read about the Western expansion and people getting a little short supplied going over the ridge. Well, they didn't get to California, okay? We've already launched. And part of the fuel to hit our WIG is undergraduate enrollment. And so what did we do? We started building housing. We're building this mammoth, beautiful dining center, workout centers, a convocation center that'll hold 3,300 people. Well, what if we had a big convocation there and we couldn't fill it? Then you build a new business school, and what if you don't hit your enrollment numbers? Well, that doesn't just hurt a little, that hurts a lot. So once you go, you got to go. Once you're in it, you're in it. So it's particularly important that we focus on this, in our undergraduate enrollment growth. This is a good, I think this bar graph is helpful. I hope you can see it from up there. That would be 2008, 2009 over here. And you'll see that light blue is our undergraduate enrollment, traditional undergraduate enrollment. You will see that as you go across all of our successes, and by the way, if I have this bar graph, courtesy of Dr. Enneking and some of his group over there. I have it in revenue. It's more dramatic. And of course, you know, revenue is how you get paid. So pay attention to that. But if you look at the blue line, you're not looking at a pretty picture there in terms of growth, right? So let's say in 2000 we said let's stay the same. That would have been a bad decision. We had a bias for action. We started moving. But if you look at the second-degree nursing program and how that's grown, I forget what that bar that isn't showing up is supposed to be. But anyway, and then of course you see the comm kicked in there. It's kind of looking neon, maybe looking. And the graduate education program, you know, the Principals Academy and new teacher project and Teach for America, all that starts taking off for us. And we have some other programs on top of that. But as you can see, the real growth is on top of our undergraduate. And by the way, we improved our retention. Have we grown our undergraduate? Yes. Added sports. We've done things tangentially that almost guarantee to add, but also at expense. Now, they contribute to the education of our students. We didn't do it just to pick up some students. We actually thought it contributed to campus life, et cetera, et cetera. We just haven't performed, okay, on undergraduate. And I'm not sitting here saying it's easy. It's actually very hard. Because it isn't, you know, seats in the seats. There's not more seats out there. So we're going to have to steal some seats from other people for our seats, for our WIG, for the type of education we want to offer. And so everybody focus up. Will we quit creating graduate programs? No, I'm not proposing that today. Innovating, look in new areas, where are the needs, get there as fast as we can, connect with our mission. But I am saying this. If you have something to do with our undergraduate program, and we all do, because even the graduate schools could figure out 3 programs or whatever, we've got to pay attention. And this is how we propose we do it. That little success with the measurement tape, that's courtesy of Mark Apple. I thought that was a brilliant little piece for us there. Took the boringness out of my chart, didn't it? Yeah, Jackie. Okay, Jackie gets credit. So we would like to sit down. I think the process has begun. And Greg Ginder, our CFO, is trying to work out some management templates. And we'd like to take every area. Business. What's the distinctive part about your program? Frankly, in the marketplace we're in, if you don't do something distinctive and bold, you're going to be in trouble. And that trouble cascades all the way up and down the line. You're not going to contribute much to making the world a better place. You're not going to do much for your students. And you can't really keep carrying the cost center without students. I mean, as an institution, we all have to be good stewards. So you've got to have enrollment. And you're not going to get enrollment in the competitive marketplace we are just having another program with a degree. You're going to have something distinctive about it. Everybody in the department, school, or college are going to have to understand that, redesign. It can't be curriculum back from whenever. Sister Broderick, if she designed your curriculum, let's update it. But whatever your program is, you've really got to update it as much as possible. The reason the tape measure there is it'll be essential that we measure marketing, communication, parents who pay bills, students who make decisions. If they hear you say how you feel about your program, that'll get their attention. Eventually, and the research is clear on this, what are the proofs? We put some examples over here. Uh-oh, we got a pianist here. But we have 93, what's your pass rates for nursing? Is this a really good program? And where's it going? 100% of education graduates are employed in their field within 6 months of graduation. In comm, graduates are matched. I guess it's 99.2, maybe I exaggerated. So, earlier. So you have to have some data and metrics on what you're driving so the program you design gets outcomes. Then we can market that to people who care about those things, both for resources and for enrollment. We have to have metrics, though, and they have to be meaningful to people who pay for it. It's essential. The other thing I want to point out, an approach we'd like to take, we cannot be successful in this environment in a silo. So I can't say to the academics, get more enrollment, redesign your program, and get some good metrics and start achieving them. That'll be very important. We can't do it without that. But we also have to have in harmony how we're going to build our enrollment. I'm convinced of this. It's teamwork. So they have to take that distinctiveness and the metrics, give it to marketing communication, who will be interested in this, how do we engage the young people we're trying to recruit in Marion and get them here. What are we doing with the exchange? How does it work? We have to know our business, so to speak. Enrollment and retention then works with them. We work together on the goal. It's not Ruth's goal, it's our goal on retention. How do we do this? What resources have to be in place? We'll spend a lot of time on resources this year with the big announcement of seeking to raise $150 million to invest in making our programs more distinctive, achieving higher outcomes in marketing. So we'll do it with the Educators College, nursing, health sciences, arts and sciences, athletics. Everybody will look at all 4 of those boxes. Additionally, when we do this, and I want to make sure I don't miss any of them, we also are going to have some, what I saw, cross-department goals that we're going to work, and we're going to look the same way. Our STEM plan, because the science, technology, engineering, health, and math has to relate to some other areas. Could be art, medical imaging, and different things we're talking about doing. The Hispanic and Latino initiative, it goes across all departments and areas. 2-year and early college, we're looking at is in partnership with IPS and is starting an early college where talented students can come someplace. We're trying to figure out where to do it and start college here at Marion. And of course, will that relate to our enrollment goal? Absolutely, because they'll be here. We'll market that. We'll resource it with district money and other resources. And we're looking at a 2-year college for mission, reasons, and enrollment for students who can't get into or the program of 4-year college isn't the best for them. Faculty staff development. We're going to work on that across all areas. Collaboration, partnerships, and joint ventures. We're talking to other colleges and universities about joint ventures. I go to a big meeting in October at Boston College. It's one of the things I'm doing that with other universities around the country. How does Catholic higher education look more like Catholic healthcare, where institutions that deliver education can work better together in different areas? Of course, marketing communication plan. A lot of you have been to the brand camps, and we know what we're focusing on there. We'll look at that across all areas. And this year, our value that we're focusing on is reconciliation. Big takeaways. How are we going to get there? If you did, basically, if you say, well, we're good, we're going to do what we did last year. Our program's great. We have our measurements. We don't need to market to new people. We just need to do it harder. We don't need to take new approaches. It won't change. We'll continue to struggle with enrollment because, undergraduate enrollment, because we're in a marketplace with a stagnant supply of undergraduate students. So on every aspect of the institution, we're going to have to think differently and hit our marks. It's critical to our financial health. It's critical to our WIG, especially an institution that's decided to forge ahead and make investments. You have to make these investments actually work. So it'll be critical. We're team players, and we pay attention to all those areas, and we're going to work with you on this. But you'll have to take new approaches. We'll have to take approaches others are not taking that will bring attractive students that are attracted, they can be attractive too. We're going to take students who attract this idea of our vision that you'll be a leader in your field and make a difference in the world. That's what we're going to have to do. And we'll have to measure everything. Here it is in 4 corners. This is how we're going to operate. What's your distinctive program? What's your key performance indicators? How do you measure it? Got to have it. Everything else falls off. If you don't have that, it's hard to go into a high school or enrollment. People can tell you, say you ought to come to Marion. I mean, it is true. It's a nice place. It's a nice community. People will love you here. People will help you here. It's, one of our messages is challenging, but it's in a supportive environment. Unless we have some distinctive qualities of our program and we measure its success, we'll have to have it. We'll just have to have it. And if we're lacking resource, or if we're spending resource, one of the things that's going to be a hard conversation, if we're spending resources in an area that has no enrollment, can't seem to retain the enrollment, can't expand the enrollment, do you keep spending money in that area? Hey, the program isn't attracting people. We can't do that. Or if it's flat, and the other areas have promise where we can make a big difference, you have to be smart about this. You need a lot of fuel and engine moving forward, not a lot of weight in the trunk. So the resources and a great marketing plan. So they'll have to work together. Gold brand ambassadors. I've appreciated the work that Mr. Apple and others have done to get us in a position where we say, what are you made of? And people might get sick of it at some time. But it's not a bad question in a lot of different ways. And the Forging Leaders campaign, that's what we're made for, forging leaders. And we're going to invite people to make mighty investments. And they're going to say, well, a lot of people need my philanthropic dollars. Why you? We have to have strong answers in the Educators College, Arts and Sciences, and everybody, everywhere. Remember some of our brand points. You'll be challenged here academically, in every other way, but you'll be in a supportive environment. You will acquire valuable experiences in and outside the classroom that will help you be successful. You will be nurtured and encouraged to explore your faith, your calling, your purpose in life. You will learn how to be a leader. You will be job and career, graduate school, professional school ready. You'll be successful. Those are the kind of brand points we need to drive home on a consistent basis. So, why we exist? We're building a great Catholic university in a great American city. What do great Catholic universities do? They prepare leaders who are smart, skilled, trustworthy, and healthy people. Is it for our purposes? No, it's for the students and the world. After all, it's the greatest invention humankind ever came up with. A great university, particularly a great Catholic university. That's the endeavor we're working on. We're not going to get there unless we get real focused on how. Will we keep developing new graduate programs and new undergraduate programs and expand and find new areas and vistas to make a difference? You betcha. The day you sit still in this environment, you're in trouble. But we have to also, with great determination, reach back into our core programs, especially undergraduate, and say, what are we doing? How is it distinctive? How are we going to measure it? How are we going to make it attractive, build enrollment? How are we going to market and communicate it, working with enrollment, working with the academics, and are the resources needed? If the resources are holding us back, let's find out. We won't do everything in 1 year. That's suicide also, because you make yourself too thin. But we have proven one thing or another. When we focus on something, it's a good plan, we can resource it, and we move. That's why we're in the good situation we're in. That's why the thing's moving. But we can't get ultimately what we need to do unless we work in this undergraduate situation. Now, I hope that makes some sense, and I hope you understand how we're going to do this, but I'm open to questions if you have them. Did I cover everything, Deb? All right, thank you. She had some things I was supposed to make sure I covered. Any questions or comments? A lot of friendly faces. Yes, Jean? Would I define distinctive? What sets it apart? So you might draw from our faith dimension. You might draw from relationships, how we do community here, how we teach, active teaching. You might take an example where you do business instead of just sitting. A philosophy professor knows a lot about philosophy, and you'll listen for an hour, and then we'll test you at the end of the week. So engage learning. I think the Service Learning Task Force has something to offer us. How do you get engaged in the community to learn at a much higher level? So distinctive, here's how we do this here. Illumined by faith, in a tight-knit, supportive community, we can take your talents and your ability to learn to a higher level, and this is how we do it, and we have measurements to prove it. Those measurements might be in people getting to graduate school. We're going to have to get more information from people who hire our folks. We've had really good anecdotal information from people who provide clerkships to our medical students. How do we measure that every year with the doctors that receive our folks? So we're going to have to measure better. So I would say the distinctiveness is what we're doing and the way we deliver content, where it ends up, how we use the community, how we integrate faith and values, how it contributes to developing a leader. A lot of different dimensions to it. Our educators program, a 5th year paid residency, that's different than anybody else. Don't do something just different to be different, but it has to have substance to it. And I believe we have a lot of it. We probably need to do more. Good question. Some people would say make sure you can tell people why what you're doing is highly valuable, because this is not a cheap proposition to go to school here. Okay? Any other questions, concerns, or ideas? Yes.
So,
the communications department speaks. Mm-hmm.
Assigning classes, other programs looking for space to spread out. have any plans. I don't put them in the arena. Do we have any plans to build some?
Yeah. The old westerns where the posse's on its way, okay?
Maybe.
So I think we probably have 3 or 4. When we get the dining hall, will be converted to classrooms. You probably have 6, 7, 8 in the new business school. 7, thank you, sir. And plus some big lecture halls. So I think we're going to get some help there. And then the offices will come out of Oldenburg. So we're going to get some relief there. At some point, the next thing I want to envision and design with Dr. Morrell and the faculty and other is, you know, what used to be the back of Marion Hall is now kind of the front. I'd like to see the College of Arts and Sciences built out there, beautiful classrooms, a nice front, maybe build off, you know, like right behind us. Look at art. That's going to be an expensive building, but it'll be fun to, again, if you have a distinctive program, then what kind of space you need to pull it off. So we'll have some relief rolling in January, and then some more next year, and we'll have to continue to work on that. But I think we're going to make some significant progress on it. And then that next building project, at some point too, we ought to talk about that space, you know, across the sidewalk from Alumni Hall. Would be a high-tech library. Then our present library would hook into the Alumni Center, and that would be a lot of the student services and maybe the Leadership Institute we're working on. So we won't be able to get it all done at once, but our long-term plan has a beat on it. We also need more housing, so it's a lot. That's why you want to really do well, right? I appreciate the question on classrooms, and they need to be excellent classrooms with the technology, and I think all that we're building will have really significant technology, pretty much, right, Dr. Inicky? They're all going to have everything that you could desire, I would think, in a modern classroom. All right, that's a good question. Any other questions or ideas? This teamwork thing, yes. English is speaking.
I was going to say, the classrooms that we currently have, furniture that can be easily moved, and more interactive group work and things like that.
Yeah, I think the furniture thing we can probably get to a little quicker, more quickly. When I speak to an English professor, I need to watch. But the sketched out plan with this, when you do the new arts and sciences and connect it to this building, then you'd renovate the present, try to get those quieter classrooms. We got to get that done again. And just a general upgrade. It needs it throughout the building and modernize it. So again, I won't say within next year at this time we'll have that done. That's going to be that'll take a big breath after we get these things going. Now we're going to go on that one. But yes, we won't just add on and leave the old part as is. That's not the plan. So there's renovation. In the long-term budget, there's renovation costs calculated. Rough, you know, it's not tight yet. Greg, anything I forgot? You have a right to be proud. You know, the charts are good. We know where we want to focus, right? To act like everything's fine and we're right where we're going to be would be a foolish thing for us, especially when you're building and expanding. I think you'll be absolutely amazed. The business school is beautiful. The new Norman Center. I walk in there once or twice a week at night when I'm not supposed to, but I've been inspecting it thoroughly. Sometimes the police come behind me and say, "Hey, who are you doing in here?" And they see me and it's all okay. And then though I will tell you, I think we're all going to be stunned when this dining hall and the various places in there is done, and this workout center and the gathering spaces in this arena. For Marion, I think it'll be just like, oh my. It's going to be a real blessing to us in terms of building community. We will have to, somewhere in all this, figure out how to get more housing. We keep working on expanding our land. But if we're innovators and we do things excellent. By the way, we did not design any of these buildings on the cheap. We didn't waste any money. But you'll see, like in the Welcome Center, when you come into the new, when you go to the dining hall, you go right or go left to work out or go to the arena. this terrazzo floor. It's a Peyton Manning lobby deal. I mean, it'll be very impressive. It'll help us recruit students, certainly. Looking at my admissions folks, they always like that. So we're putting things together here that take us a next step up, but when you invest in those things, you have to have a return, and we have to be prepared to fill it with really bright students who want to do something big in the world. So, gear up. Whatever you're doing has been really great, and now this new chapter and this new continuation of our development, which our founders 80 years ago would be quite happy with. Mother Clarissa, I love when she said, 80 years ago, we have to stay in the forefront of the educational endeavor. I just love that simple phrase. That's where we have to stay. And it was already written for us what to do. And we've been having a lot of fun doing it. I appreciate your talents and your gifts and your dedication. Because it really is remarkable what we're doing. And we'll just do a little more of it. How would that be? And let's enjoy the ride, all right? God bless you.